And we're live. Hello, everybody. I am Cassidy Bass, the Director of Career Development and Marketing for RE/MAX Crest and Masters. And joining me today for this episode of Outstanding Agents, Outstanding Results, we have an outstanding agent, a RE/MAX Hall of Famer, Jennifer Berry. Jen, welcome. How are you doing?
Hi, Cassidy. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for joining me.
Perfect.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and your business.
So I've been around for 10 years now. I know because I have to relicense again this year, every 2 years. And I've been a prec for about 4 or 5 years. But yeah, I started with RE/MAX. I think I'll be a RE/MAX lifer. And I've had a really good run so far. And I don't know if I'll ever retire. We'll see. We'll see. But overall, it's been great so far.
That's great. And for those of those listening that are just getting going in the industry, a PREC is a personal real estate corporation. So, you have done some really solid business over the years. You've been really consistent in what you've done. And I'm really looking forward to kind of diving into, some of your strategies for success that have led you to where you are today. Tell me a little bit about that. So how did you get started? And what were some of the milestones for you as you progressed through your career to where you're at today?
I got started years ago, back when I believe was it 2010? I guess around then. But there was a little bit of a dip in the market, and there was a bit of a recession, and I was working in a marketing company, and they're really downsizing quite heavily. So I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, what can I do? I've got a economics degree. I like marketing. What kind of meshes that well together? And I thought, I've always thought of real estate. So that's kind of how it all started ending up. And I had gone to university with Mike Ramp, who is an agent with us for a long time. And Mike had just really taken off. And so I went and I met with him and I said, Mike, if you were to do it all again, is there room for me in real estate? Because I didn't know. I wasn't sure kind of how it all worked. Would you do it again? How do you avoid the pitfalls? And what he said to me is, you need to join this office, which is the 7th RE/MAX office. He's like, everyone's young, everyone's really with it, and people are really going places. So I went, okay, I'll take your advice. And that's kind of how it all started. And I don't regret that at all. I thought, the people that were and still are in the 7th office are fantastic. Many of them are younger than most. I'm not sure if you know the stats on 7th, but I think that they are. I don't know.
It's a young happening office. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a young happening office. Well, but the nice thing was people were really with technology. Back 10 years ago, it sounds funny, but you would have, for most offices, had to go and pick up a check, and you would have had to literally submit your deals by paper. And I think from the very get-go, from what I remember, everything was digital. So that really made my business a lot more streamlined. And a lot of things were tech savvy. Everyone was kind of trying to keep up, and it was fantastic. It was good that way.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think it's so important. I always say, keeping up with technology keeps you young, and it's it's always going to be changing, and it's just something that is a life skill that you kind of just gotta stay up with. But being around people that are tech savvy helps too, for sure.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And there was just people that were doing really cool things with their business, which at that time, people weren't necessarily doing those things, and they were all the early adapters, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And did you find success right away when you got started, or what was it a bit of a rocky road and you kind of found your way? How did that?
Rocky road. I mean, I would say in my first year of real estate, I probably made what I would have made, in my marketing position. I think it was maybe $60,000. It wasn't huge, but it's all about momentum, right? And so in the very beginning, I think it took 2 or 3 months to get my first deal, which, sounds like, okay, that's not so bad. I don't know. Maybe it sounds good. Maybe it sounds bad. But overall, that's kind of launched me to get my first deal. And then it all started coming, if that makes sense. And the nice thing is, the longer you're in this, the easier it becomes, for sure. You got your book of business, and if you're treating everyone well, then they're going to come back to you, and they're going to tell their friends about you. And so the first year is always the struggle. I think if you can make it through the first 2 years, as they say, you'll do fine. The first 2 years, though, are the, lighting that fire and making sure, you're really hustling. It's the 2 years of hustle, if that makes sense.
That's right. Then you get to that sweet spot where it's past clients, repeat clients, and it kind of just starts to kind of roll out from there, right?
Yeah. And in general, for the first at least half of my career so far, it was mostly buyers, like you getting a lot of buyers, first time buyers, lots of buyers. Once you start getting in here a little bit longer, those buyers start turning into sellers, and then you're starting to do two ends with the same person, which makes life a lot easier as well. It's certainly less hustle needed to do that, and people do start coming back to you, and they're the repeat clients. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's great, and it's a much more efficient use of your time once you do start getting into the listing side of it, because you're in control of the market. And the industry stats say that buyers take about 6 times the amount of time that you're going to be working with them than with sellers. So yeah, that's definitely the progression, I think, for most agents as they establish themselves in the business. It's a smart way of doing it.
Yeah.
So Jen, you've always been really involved in RE/MAX. You were a Spirit of the West Award winner from RE/MAX of Western Canada. You've sat as a chair of the group advertising committee, and you're also a part of the Young Leaders Network with RE/MAX. So can you tell me a bit more about your involvement in those things and what you love about being part of the RE/MAX brand?
Well, as the saying goes, you get out of things what you put into them. So, I had the opportunity through Louise Boutin, who is our office chair for the advertising committee, and she was kind of phasing out of that, and she invited me to come to a meeting. So that's how I ended up in the general advertising committee. And it's a very fan. Actually, we have an opening right now for our office. So if somebody is interested, definitely let us know. So that's a group of a representative from every single office of RE/MAX the Lower Mainland. Normally we meet once a month, and right now it's by Zoom. But really, we talk about how our advertising dollars are spent. And it's really interesting to know kind of where those dollars are going, how hard RE/MAX is actually working for you behind the scenes, and having that say of where we think those dollars should be positioned too. So things like, do we want to be involved with the Canucks, which we are, we're involved in the Canucks, the Whitecaps, every time you see a bus back or a big advertisement, like all of those shared dollars are being put to good use. Every time you see something like Italian Days on the Drive, or you see those RE/MAX tents, that was done by the group of agents that are all working together to kind of get the brand out there. And it certainly makes life easier, especially if you're going to listing presentations, when you say, oh, I'm with RE/MAX, you don't have to spend 10 minutes explaining what's RE/MAX. Never heard of RE/MAX. Everyone knows who it is. And it certainly has a lot of clout, I believe, especially in the Lower Mainland.
That's right. Yeah. The consumer has a lot of confidence in the brand. They see it everywhere. I think the latest stat I'd seen was, most people see RE/MAX, 5 to 6 times a day. And it just kind of allows you, like you said, just to get right down to business right away. So, so that's great. And can you talk a little bit more about, the Young Leaders Network and what that's meant for you in your business?
So the Young Leaders Network is for anyone in RE/MAX who's under 40. And basically it's a kind of mastermind that basically tries to accelerate all of the business of young people that are within RE/MAX. Right now, it's primarily a Facebook group, and of course, we're going to be having more activities as COVID lifts. But it's a fantastic way to make referral connections. Look at the RE/MAX hustle. If someone's doing something really cool, it's shared. Maybe some video strategies. It's basically a fantastic mastermind group on there where young people can network. Yeah, and it's been really good. There's a couple of representatives from the Lower Mainland, myself and Tim Hill, and then there's representatives from most major cities in Western Canada.
Right. Yeah. And when you get involved in stuff like this, like being part of the GA, being part of the Young Leaders Network, you're creating a little bit of a brand for yourself, and you're kind of getting known amongst other RE/MAX agents. And there's certainly a side of RE/MAX that can be really profitable, which is the referral side of business, where you're sending business to different market areas that you don't work, and people are sending business back your way. So yeah, it can be a really profitable part of the network for sure.
And it's nice just knowing more people within it. You know, there are so many times where say you are going into a multiple offer and it turns out that that's someone you know. So automatically they know you, they know your reputation, they know you're a solid agent to work with, and you're going to be put a little bit ahead of that other agent that you don't know. So it's those ways that we can network. I mean, it's a little more virtually right now, but the more we can, the better. And certainly, you know, or if you need any help, like there's people, you know, all over the Lower Mainland, all over Canada, all over the world, and you reach out to them, most of them are so happy to help you, and they're just so happy to say hello. Or even if I know people have used it for traveling, like, you know, talk to an agent, find out where all the best places are, and they're happy to help. They want to reach out to you.
That's great. I know the brand is so collaborative, which is so great. I mean, you know, in addition to that Young Leaders network, there's also other Facebook groups and things. Like there's a couple of RE/MAX creative Facebook groups.
Yes, I love that one. That one's good. That one's really good.
So great. Yeah, they're like sharing their Canva designs and all of their different stuff that they're using to promote themselves. And in doing that, yeah, they get to know other agents within the network, and everyone's just kind of helping each other, you know, achieve success, which is really cool. It makes it easier for everyone.
Yes.
So going back to referrals, I know that you have been a big advocate of the RE/MAX conferences that happen throughout the year. Tell me about why that's been an important aspect in your business.
I think we were just chatting before we came live. And I mean, one of the biggest things that I get out of going to these conventions and things like that, not only is the networking, but it kind of kickstarts you again. It's like a nice little reboot. You get re-energized. You're seeing what, like, you're finding out other people's secret sauce, and they're happy to share it with you. They're saying, you know what? I've tried this. It makes sense. Like, don't bother spending money on this, and like, try this and it'll work for you. And, you know, you come home and you're all energized, and maybe you're going to make 10 videos of your own, or maybe you're going to try that service you never thought about, or, you know, or it's just, you know, making those connections too. Like, but generally I come back from all of those, and it's worth it for me, just for kind of that reboot, that reset, that, you know,
That's right. And I mean, this business is so much about having the right mindset and being in that sort of energy to propel you forward and keep you growing. So it's super helpful with that. And I know you've said in the past too that that the conferences have always paid for themselves because you're meeting people and you're able to get referral business as well from different market areas.
Exactly. Even if you get one, you know, out of that, like in general, that will pay for it. I find I'm giving more referrals, or the borders were open, to things like Arizona, Palm Springs, for the snowbirds moving down. I don't find there's as many people coming north, but that being said, across Canada is a good one too. A lot of people moving across from Toronto and back and forth that way. But overall, I do find it's fantastic to have some referral partners in Bellingham, in California is a big one, and any of those, you know, snowbird areas are really where I find I'm getting the most value out of referrals.
Yeah, that's great. Now, for those of you that are watching, we have our RE/MAX International Conference coming up at the end of March. And the cool thing about it this year is that it is going to be hosted virtually. I've already attended a couple virtual conferences, which I have been actually blown away with how professional they are and all these different rooms you get to go in and just the way that it's structured. So if you're watching and if you're interested in attending the conference, it's happening March 23rd to 25th, get in touch with me. There's a huge list of professional development programs that you can attend. I've got the list here, just to name a few of them. There's a ton on social media and online marketing, how to stay relevant in Facebook's newsfeed. There's sessions on developing a team, perfecting your listing presentation, all sorts of stuff, lead conversion, building your Instagram. So it's going to be a really great session, and we can get you in if you're interested. Are you going to be going?
I'm looking into it. Yep.
Yeah, nice. Great. So my next question here is about generating future business. What's the best thing that you've done or that you continue to do to generate business for yourself?
So I can almost look backwards to look forward. So one of the things that I find still the most effective, it sounds quite counterintuitive, but I do a lot of pop buys. Well, I did a lot of pop buys and I still do a lot of mail. And the mail isn't necessarily advertising-ish or, anything like that, but it's a way to communicate with those clients. I used to deliver cookies that got a little too much, but things like St. Patrick's Day cards, Valentine's cards, like Christmas cards, anything that's a way to send a touch that, isn't necessarily in your face too much, isn't like, hey, look, here's a listing, here's a listing, here's a listing. People appreciate those. And every time I send them out, at least 8 or 9 phone calls, guaranteed. Like Christmas cards came out, and if it's not the person looking to buy something themselves, it's like, hey, thanks so much. Like my aunt is looking, she's looking for a place, and I remembered, like, I got that card and it was sitting on my, counter. It's something that doesn't get thrown away in 2 seconds. Or I'll hope it doesn't. It's not like an email that just gets blown away. It's something tangible. And people pretty much just get junk mail. So when they do get something that's not so junky, and it isn't a bill, it's not a really in-your-face advertisement, it's something that's like, hey, can't wait to get in touch with you in a little bit, can't wait to see you again, something like that. They're very receptive, and I find that over the years, the consistency to that, people remember that so much, and it's leaps and bounds for me. Like it's I think that was started by referral only from Buffini when you guys used to teach that, but having that list of people and actually sending something tangible to them. If it's Christmas time, I'll do wrapping paper, something like that, where I'll have it dropped off at the door and say, like, hope your holidays wrap up nicely. It's cheesy, but people do need that last minute roll of wrapping paper at Christmas time. So it's valuable to them, something that they're not going to throw away in 2 seconds, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, no, that's great. And so how does that work? Are you like mostly doing that to like your clients in single family kind of detached houses or condos? Are you like arranging to drop that off ahead of time, or is it just like a random pop by? How does that work?
It's from my database, and I've kind of sorted my database into kind of the I guess maybe top, it is like 200, but let's say the top 200 clients. That being said, it's easier with a detached home. Everyone gets mail. To me, everyone gets anything that can be mailed, everyone, condo regardless. Through experience, I've made little notes of which ones are just not accessible. Like there are ones downtown that I've tried to drop off, and cookies have been eaten by everyone that's not the client. So there are certain ones that I just make a little note and say it's just not going to happen. However, anyone in a townhome, or if there's a concierge, I will drop it off or have someone drop it off. So I'm starting to get better at outsourcing, because it does get very difficult. But overall, it's certainly something that does very well, leaps and bounds.
Right. And when it comes to sending cards, because you mentioned you're doing that for a lot of the holidays, is that something that you're handwriting yourself, or are you using a system like Send Out Cards, which helps you to do that, the amount of database that you are sending to?
It's not too difficult. I do mass labels that are printed. I'm not handwriting an address. That's all done with just a label, stick. And with the cards themselves, usually there's some sort of something printed on the inside that might be customized. And then inside I might handwrite like to Bob from Jen, you know what I mean? Like it's not, the whole thing is not written, but there is something that looks like I put some effort into it with pen to paper, if that makes sense. But the majority of the sentiment, I'm not writing the whole things too much.
Yeah, too much. Fair enough. Yeah.
Yes, so it is always nice. Like I always find it's much more appreciated to see at least a signature that's in ink versus something that you can tell was just batch sent, if that makes sense.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And if I can add kind of just something to that for our viewers, because I sat in on Richard Robbins actually did an awesome presentation yesterday.
That was yesterday.
I'm going to get the recording. They said they're going to send me the recording. So it's just like one of those things that when you're ready to kind of like set your week on track and, get going, you watch that, gets you in the right headspace, and you can kind of move forward. But one thing that I liked that he really said about generating business is, the morning is your time for appointments with yourself, and the afternoon is the time for your appointments with your clients and everything like that. And what he meant by appointments with yourself, those are the appointments that you got to do to generate business, whether it's sending some direct messages to people, whether it's sending some texts, whether it's picking up the phone and calling. And he said pick your number that you want to do no matter what. So pick 3 mediums of doing it, and say maybe you're just going to do 1 of each of those mediums every day, or maybe it's 5 that you're going to do, and set whatever your goal is and do that no matter what, before noon every day. And he said he's given that advice to people, and it's just it's so simple, but it's just such a game changer to get you doing the right things, to generate business. And the other thing I was going to mention too, we've worked with Coach Janet, who and she's got an acronym as well for generating business, which is FOOD, which stands for your geographic farm, your online side of your business, your open houses, and then your database. So it's kind of like you're putting your eggs in a few different baskets, so that you've got business coming from these different places. Or do you do all of those methods of prospecting in your business?
Yes, I mean, obviously there's no open houses right now. I certainly, early in my career, did a lot of open houses, and I still enjoy open houses when they come back. I think anything belly to belly, the higher chance of getting a conversion right away is that's the way to go. Online, obviously working hard there too. I've had a few random people that I've worked with from online, but overall it's more awareness. People just want you to be online. They want to check up on you. You do the listing presentation. They just want to make sure, okay, is she online? Like, is she doing this? So I think it's more of, that's more your resume these days than it is necessarily anything else. But generating and actually getting a whole lot of referrals from online, I think it's changed. I think it's definitely a little bit different. As we say, this is the relationship business, not necessarily anything else. So the more you can create a connection, whatever that is, I think you're just as likely to be in a group on Facebook or somewhere else online. Maybe you love couponing like me, or maybe you love like hiking. Chances are you'll probably find someone from that group who needs to buy a house more than you putting out listings all the time, if that makes sense.
And that's a lot more fun that way too, because you're doing something that you love, and then you're kind of like finding your tribe within that, which is just like more natural, right?
Yes, yeah, for sure.
That's cool. So I want to talk about, some of the challenges you faced in the business. What have you done to overcome them? I'm sure you've, come across after, over 10 years in the business, lots of challenges. Can you point out a few that could be maybe helpful to others that are watching?
I mean, I think a lot of things have changed. I know this sounds funny, but I do actually, in the beginning and even in some areas of real estate, that I think even just being a woman in the workplace is different. I mean, I do find that overall, compared to guys, we have a little bit more of a challenge. I still find we do have to prove ourselves a little bit more. For instance, it's very rare you'll see too many female agents that aren't dressed up for the job. You'll see a lot of guys that can get away with a pair of jeans, some nice shoes, and a dress shirt, like or not even. Whereas I do find if you look at most women that are going to a listing presentation, we do have to almost be hyper professional, if that makes sense. So that's a little bit of a challenge, but I mean, I think most people are overcoming it, and we're such a diverse workplace overall. It is a fantastic place for ladies out there who really want to succeed. A lot of the top real estate agents are women. Like, I'm trying to think of them all now, but yeah, and a lot of them are with our offices, and they just are killing it. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity, and the playing field has leveled off. Things have changed, even in the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's right. And have you had to do some, I'm sure you've had to do some pivots as we've come into the pandemic and all of that, and like adjust to how you're working and all of that. Like you said, you tried to keep up with technology, but what does that look like for you?
A lot of Zoom calls. So pretty much everything has shifted to Zoom. I mean, I think we are still meeting socially distantly for things like showings and that. You're still out there. But yeah, there's a lot more technology, a lot more maybe going through things with people, FaceTime with, it's all just basically shifted to if you may not necessarily be meeting that client for the first time. I love personally meeting a first-time home buyer and sitting with them and going through everything. It is very different now, but I mean, we're working through it, and hopefully in 6 months from now, we can all meet again and, meet at that coffee shop and go through things. But I do find, Zoom has been helpful. A lot of the new apps, like I was telling you that Clubhouse is a big thing now. I'm getting a lot of value out of that. It's almost like being at a conference all the time. You just play it in the background and it's awesome. Clubhouse, for people that don't know, is a app that's right now, I believe, for iPhone only. And it's basically an auditory chat. But there's people like Gary Vaynerchuk, there's big speakers out there that you can just tune into at any time and join the conversation. Many times there's hundreds of people on there. You don't necessarily have to speak. But if you wanted to speak, you can kind of raise your hand and speak if you want to. But I've been getting tremendous value from then. And I'm sure there's like all the various speakers, Richard Robbins, Tom Ferry, I'm sure they all have them.
Interesting. And I believe it's invite only. Is that right?
Yeah. If you need an invite, I have at least 5. Most people that are on Clubhouse now have a bunch, but if you need one, they're not that hard to come by. But yes, it is technically invite only, just like Gmail was years ago.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about some of the systems for your business, because obviously to leverage yourself and your time as you grow your business, systems become really important. So what systems do you have that you feel have contributed to your success?
I think especially with buyers, I have a whole system going through kind of not necessarily what my expectations are, how the system works. And I find if I have that chance to sit down with them or, sit down with them virtually and go through kind of the steps of the home buying process and that, things run very smoothly. The times where randomly you get someone and they're like, oh, I just want to see a house, and you haven't had that first step, things definitely don't go necessarily as smoothly. You're kind of catching up, trying to educate them on kind of how everything works. But I do find the systems where you actually have that chance to go through it, like, okay, first this happens, then, you make sure you have your financing, and this is what would happen if it was a multiple offer. This is what would happen if it's not a multiple offer. And going through all those steps, people are very prepared and everything goes very smoothly. And I do have kind of a follow-up process too. I put most of my clients on searches even after they've bought, and I find that's very valuable. So like, say if they want to, a lot of people don't, but for example, say they bought a house and they want to know what their neighbors are selling for, they'll always be educated that, hey, Bob down the street is selling.
Yeah, right. And that's a great way for you to stay top of mind with them and just, stay in the loop in a real estate sense with your clients.
Exactly. And most I just do like the local neighborhood, and maybe I set it to once a week or once every month versus, every day right away. So it doesn't drive them crazy. But that's been good. Rank My Agent is part of it too. Like if I've had a fantastic transaction with someone, I do try and get a review from them. So that's a positive thing. I believe we're still promoting that too.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So when an agent with our company does a transaction, our conveyancer sends the client an email asking for feedback on the transaction, just like if you stayed at a fancy hotel, how was your stay, sort of a thing. And then do you have it set up on your website so you can set a widget up so that those testimonials are automatically populating on your website. You don't need to keep it up manually or anything.
And I just revamped my website, so I'm wondering where it went. I'm gonna have to check in on that. But yes, I did have it automated for a long time. But I've actually got a couple of clients directly from Rank My Agent too. So if you don't think people are looking at reviews, they are. I would say I've had just as many people randomly go on real estate agent in Vancouver or whatever, and looking at the reviews, and they went, okay, this one has great reviews, I'll contact you. That's been very positive. Or if it's not that, it's somebody who I've gone to a listing presentation and then they've Googled you and that's what's popped up. So it's nice to make sure you have those things going because people do care about reviews.
It's so true. And we did a class on this last year that all of our agents have access to now. It was called, If I Googled Your Name, Would I Use You to Sell My House? And I think that's a really good reminder for all of those that are watching. Google yourself, see what you're on, see what your potential clients are finding out online. Because we all, when we're about to work with someone, we're going to be taking a look at that stuff. So
and are you easy to access when you are there too? Because there are so many agents where, say I do need to try and reach someone and I Google their name and then I get their website and their phone number is nowhere to be found and their email is only a form letter. And it's just, you got to think from the consumer's perspective, if it's not there and easy to find, they might move on to someone else. You don't know. Like, you hope they reach a little further, but most people don't. They need it to be easy for them.
So true. It's so true. Whenever I see those forums, I'm always like, I have no way of, it's all in their court. I have no way of following up again, or did they get it or anything like that.
Did they check it? Do they ever check it? You know, like.
Totally. Yeah. No, that's great advice. And you're obviously, I would imagine, using a CRM for your business too, which helps keep you in line with things. Is that right?
I am. It's kind of a weird modified one though. Like, I still love my Excel spreadsheets that I made a long time ago. So I do pop them into various things, but overall I have like my master spreadsheet that I love. And there is so much information. It's saved in multiple places. Obviously I'm using Dropbox and things like that, but I overall, just to make it simple for myself, I do a lot of Google Calendars. I use a lot of spreadsheets and I integrate them.
Right. Yeah. Great. Last question here, Jen. What advice do you have for someone getting started in this business or someone who wants to grow their business?
For people that are getting started in the business, my advice is it depends what you're trying to do. If my thought is, jump to the deep end right away if you're going to do it. Like, don't try and be a part-time agent. Don't, it's just not the best way to do it. If you cannot afford to jump in and dive in right away on your own, my advice would be to work as someone's assistant or with a team to get your feet wet. It's not something I did, but I would certainly recommend it if you were starting from scratch. And then you would learn the systems, you would have a whole lot of data and having practice and watching those people. Find a mentor, find an accountability partner. I think those are fantastic. Most people that are successful are happy to share their secrets overall. And I think that's a very valuable way to do it. But I would say it depends on kind of your goals. If you can jump right in right away, do it. And then figure out if you sink or swim, because you'll learn pretty quick if it's for you or if it's not for you. If you're a self-starter and you're really motivated and can manage your time and do things like that, then maybe going off on your own is a great idea. If you need that kick in the butt, then I would say I would recommend joining a team, working with someone, or a partnership of some form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, most of the new agents that we bring on board, we either start them with a mentor or we start them on a team if there are the right opportunities that have come up, and that makes a world of a difference. Yeah, for getting started. Yeah, and any advice for someone who wants to grow their business, who's already in this and maybe they're not where they want to be? What would you?
For somebody who's saying it wants to grow their business, I think even something like an accountability partner, it's something I need to kick myself in the butt with this year again. But that really, for me, helps me launch my business further. It's just having somebody who, it can be a mortgage broker. It doesn't have to be somebody who's in the, it can be somebody who's a helpful other person in the industry, but somebody who you talk to once a week or once a month, whatever you determine, and you have those like business progressing chats type thing. And it's amazing that if you kind of put that out there, how much you hold yourself to it. Like, hey, I was thinking about doing that video, and then the next time you chat with them, you kind of feel bad if you didn't do that video. You know what I mean? So I do find, if your goal is to maybe farm a certain area and you've got that accountability partner, your odds of doing it are way higher. Way higher.
Yeah, so true. And it's really about like that accountability partner can help you achieve consistency, because I think that's a big part of being able to grow your business. It's not what you do every once in a while, it's what you do consistently that matters.
And you do have to treat it like a job. It's not something you can necessarily do. I mean, everyone has the way that they work. Personally, I'm still getting up in the morning at, at least 7, and I'm starting my emails or whatever it is. And I kind of treat it like a job. I find if you kind of wait till noon and you're starting to sleep in, the odds of the amount of work that you're getting done just plummets. Right. So if you do get up early, a little bit earlier, start your work day, because there's a lot of things like emails and that you can bang off right away, and then you can actually go to your appointments in the afternoon because it's very unusual that we have showings at 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
Once in a while we do, but overall we don't. So, and as soon as you wait till the afternoon, it gets way too busy. You're not going to get it done.
Yeah. Having a powerful morning routine just sets your day for the rest of the day on the right track. I totally agree. Yeah. Well, Jen, you are awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time to join me today and share so much great information about your take on the business. For those of you that are watching, this is our last scheduled Outstanding Agents, Outstanding Results part of our series here. We will probably be doing some more in the future. But a couple things that we do have coming up. I am going to be hosting a top producer panel of new to the industry agents. So if you're thinking about getting started in this career, or you're about to launch your career in real estate, that will be a really great one to stay tuned for. I'll be posting that on our Facebook page, so have a look on there. And also, if you're getting started in the industry, I do a career night that happens on a regular basis. So the next one that we have coming up, it's via Zoom, and it's on February 17th. And so that happens at 6 o'clock in the evening, and do those about once a month, and we dive into all things real estate. So once again, Jen, thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you a lot of success for the rest of your year.
Thank you, guys.